Alright, hi guys. My name is SuperAutoPets21927, and today I'll be talking about how I feel you should pick your uni major. Now the A level results just came out, and then there's a bunch of people on Reddit and SGXMs asking how what uni courses they should pick. Maybe they didn't score very well and they have limited choices, or maybe they scored higher than expected and then they're wondering among all the choices that have opened up for them, which one should they go? I'm gonna be doing the ASMR style again, like last video, cause not only is it pretty late, but I think like watching it back felt a bit more entertaining. As someone who actually listens to ASMR also, so I've turned off my aircon. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Okay, so if you don't know me yet, um, I just got my JC results a few days ago, so I have not gone to any college or uni or tertiary education institution yet, but I have spoken to many who have across the last decades, been through undergrad and postgrad and whatnot. Some government scholars, some went on their own money, some went to local, some went to overseas. Um, and this is over the past 1 year of like a lot of cold emailing, a lot of coffee chats, and just a lot of like um, going for a lot of events, making a lot of new friends. So whatever advice I'm gonna give in this video is gonna be the culmination of my own views as well as my personal takeaways from the shared experiences of the people I've met or of people whose content I've consumed. So I'm gonna be specifically talking about undergrad only, and I apologize if some of my arguments or you know statements are might not be applicable for you because my background is tech, so I'm exposed to a different circle of people as compared to doctors. But I still feel regardless, some of what I say will generalize. So that's just some context. Before I answer how you should pick your uni major, well, we should answer some key questions along the way, right? First of all, is your degree useless? Now, I'm sure all of us have heard at some point that uni is useless in 2025, 2026. You should just go out and work, or maybe just go to poly and then get the work experience, cause the job market is tough and whatnot. Well, there are people who genuinely think that the end goal of uni is the piece of paper that you get when you graduate. And indeed, there was a time many years ago where that piece of paper alone could get you a pretty good start in your career, right? Just ask your parents. But that's not the point, right? On one hand, your degree certifies that this guy is able to show up every day for the past 4 years and dedicate himself to something. So there's a lesser chance that if you employ this guy, he'll completely fuck up your business. But truthfully, for the majority of people, the benefits end there. So unless you go to a highly competitive institution like Ivies or Oxbridge, then perhaps you can get an additional boost of being quote unquote pre-screened as a high potential applicant in the job market. But of course, a lot of us, in fact 99% of the people watching this, we don't have that luxury, right? So first, let's establish what our actual goal is, right? If your goal of getting your degree is to just as a means to an end to get into an entry level job for the big three of medicine, engineering, law, it oftentimes actually is more than enough to achieve that. I have not met a single law student or medicine student who's like struggling to get a job. Maybe I just haven't met them. The market doesn't seem that bad. Software engineering, sure, there's a bit of a downturn, but we'll talk about that later. But I would like to encourage all of you to think a little bit bigger, right? In this current job market, for most of us, that piece of paper isn't enough. If you have lofty goals and aspirations beyond getting an entry level job, maybe you want to work your way up the corporate ladder, or you want to join a specific corporation, or you want to be the next fucking Mark Zuckerberg, then it truly isn't enough anymore to just float through uni. What you truly need to do is to use your time in uni to build skill sets. So don't think about it as the piece of paper. Think about you will like the point of you spending 4 years of your life to in this academic institution is to build skill sets. Now, why do I say skill sets? Demonstrated ability beats credentials always. So, how are you specifically contributing to the global economy of goods and services? What value are you specifically bringing to the economy? Your degree in comp sci theory doesn't mean shit if you don't have the appropriate skill sets to contribute value to the world from your theory knowledge. And you can see this become increasingly true because credentials like a college degree, bachelor's, start to matter less and less, and you start seeing people with just a couple internships at a few firms but no degree get into some of the biggest firms in the world. And that's cause over time they've actually honed what skill sets they know that they need in order to reach their goal, and the doors just open. So you should pick your major around what skill sets you will gain from it, but not just that, right? You should think about what skill sets you have right now, preferably that you're good at, and think from there. So think, what other complementary skill sets could be valuable for you, right? If you worked retail and you know that you're a good talker and a salesman, maybe it helped for you to learn marketing or human psychology. Or maybe you're a good engineer, perhaps it helped to learn the business side of selling the products that you build. So don't think of your major as what jobs it'll open up for you. Rather, think about what skill sets it'll allow you to gain. Okay, if you adopt a skill set oriented approach, I guarantee you way more doors will open up, because you're being intentional about it. You're being conscious about it. You're not just gonna be a floater. You understand that there's a progression for every skill set. You're gonna start as a beginner, and over your time in uni, you're gonna take deliberate action to get better and better and better at these different skill sets. And oftentimes, this requires effort outside of your uni syllabus. If you're just cruising through your classes and not thinking intentionally, not moving intentionally, well, don't be surprised when you get a median or average result, right? So the most highly valued people in our economy aren't necessarily all experts in one specific skill set. Rather they're top 5% in maybe 3 or 5 skill sets, and oftentimes these skill sets complement each other. Now, the more skill sets you learn, the more flexible and applicable and exposed you become. Now, you won't think the same as a student who only honed oh my fucking god, I can't speak, who only honed the one skill set that his classes taught him. You won't think the same as that guy because you have more exposure. Now, for me to understand, for you to truly understand why I'm so focused about complementary skill sets, I have to introduce you to normal distribution theory. Now, if you take H2 math, you'll learn this in stats. But for the sake of everyone watching this, I'll briefly explain it. A normal distribution is a symmetrical bell-shaped probability distribution where most data points cluster around a central mean, with frequencies tapering off towards the tails. Now, I found personally that most things in life actually resemble a normal distribution or some variant of it. This is mainly because of the central limit theorem, which states that given a sufficiently large sample size, the sampling distribution of the mean will approximate a normal distribution, regardless of the population's underlying distribution. Okay, now that was a bunch of nerd shit, but why is this important? Simply, it tells us that you don't want to be near the center of the distribution. You do not want to be normal or average, even in your major. If competence follows a normal distribution, being average means you're competing with the largest cluster of the population. In other words, you're maximally replaceable, right? You're nothing special. You're just a cog in the machine. The uni syllabus is specifically designed to bring everyone towards the mean. Now, it's a standardization tool, not a differentiation tool. Think about it. You get your uni degree to certify that everyone who has that degree is able to be of a certain competence. It is, but between degree holders of the same degree, outside of special circumstances, for most of the time, there's not much differentiation, right? Following it, following a uni syllabus faithfully and only the uni syllabus is almost algorithmically guaranteed to produce a median outcome. Shit, you guys can tell that it's getting late for me. I'm fucking stammering. Yeah. So enough said. Enough math. Whatever. Fuck shit. Okay. Where is the actual opportunity? Well, by the normal distribution, the tails of the distribution are thinner. This means fewer people, less competition, and disproportionately higher rewards. So in most fields, the difference in outcome between the 50th and the 85th percentile is massive, but the actual skill gap between them is not actually that wide. Now the curve just means that not many people make the deliberate effort to get there, barring, natural limitations. And so, when you pick your major, even for those who only give a fuck about the money, I encourage you not to look at the median graduate salary, because picking the right skill sets for you will put you far above and beyond the median. And that's what I believe. And this is also why I typically advise people to include your personal competency as an important factor in choosing your major. Because regardless of your major, like as long as you're skilled enough to make it onto the right tail end of the normal distribution, you'll be living the good life. Like seriously. Do you guys know like how much plumbers, electricians, TCM doctors, like you think of some careers you don't even know what they're called. You could not even imagine them. Like they're so obscure, but because someone chose to hone and specialize in that skill set, or a combination of skill sets that make up that career, they're living the good life. And of course, most of the time, this entails earning a fuck ton of money. If you develop two complementary skills to the 80th percentile, you're not in the 80th percentile overall. Okay, I'll repeat that. If you develop two complementary skills to the 80th percentile, meaning you're better than 80% of the population, you're not in the 80th percentile overall. Okay. This combination puts you in a rarer category because most people only go deep on one thing, or they stay average across the board. You've essentially entered a new distribution that is specialized and favors you. You're putting yourself at the right tail end of a distribution that is built for you. And this is called talent stacking by Scott Adams. Thank you, Claude, for finding that citation for me. Now, enough said about talent stacking. Passion is also an important factor. How well you're able to develop your skill sets to that next level and join those at the right tail end of the normal distribution depends heavily on your drive. Right? The truth is, unless you're a savant, which I am not, and probably you aren't either, like us putting in average effort will almost certainly yield average results. If what you're getting from whatever I've just fucking said is, oh, so easy lah, I'll just get good at a bunch of shit, then you're in for a real awakening, buddy. Because one of the hardest lessons I've had to swallow so far is that in life there is no free lunch. Like there will be things that you have a natural affinity for and those that you don't. But either way, for 99.9% of us to get to the top 5% or 1% at that skill set, you will almost certainly need to be able to push yourself through discomfort and demand the utmost conviction in yourself. And so it's definitely easier to put in the work when you love what you're doing, obviously. But we talk, like society likes to talk a lot about passion. When you ask career advice from your uncle or aunties, they'll most likely also talk about passion somewhat. But what is actually passion? People don't know that there's different types of passion. Okay, give me one sec. Okay, so there's quiet obsession, which is not excitement, but just a persistent pull back to something. I don't know how to explain it right. Like you keep thinking about it and reading about it without being told to, and it's not your whole life. It's kind of low key, but you're very consistent with honing in on this skill. And this could just be because of a quiet interest. They are not necessarily, might not be a number one interest, but it's something that you're constantly drawn to. That classifies as passion in the form of quiet obsession. Now, other more common ones are competence driven passion. So you didn't love what you're doing at first, but as soon as you got good at it, the interest deepened. Now, some people argue that this is actually how most sustainable passion works, right? Mastery generates meaning and not the other way around. Whether or not this is true, I don't know, but I would say that it was kind of true for me when I learned coding. I didn't like it that much at first, but the more projects I built, the more cool stuff I built, the more compliments I got, and that just stacks and like a positive reinforcement loops, and it just makes me want to do it more and more. Um, Next type of passion, problem driven passion. So maybe you don't love a subject, but you're genuinely angry or curious about a specific problem, and the passion is for the outcome, solving the problem, not the craft itself. I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but I feel like if you have a problem that you feel very very strongly about, and maybe it has something that has deep ties with your own personal life and your own personal beliefs, you'll probably resonate with whatever I've just said. Like maybe you don't like there is a road to solving that problem, and maybe you don't have passion for the road itself, but you have passion for solving the problem, and oftentimes that also counts, right? Another one and last one I'll cover is people driven passion. So some people, they're energized by who they work with or who they serve more than what they do, and so the work is secondary to them. Now you can see this in volunteering. A lot of volunteers, they just do it for free. Like they really just do it for the love of the game, right? They love helping people, and for those people, I really salute them because their heart is very big. For us students, maybe it could be helping our personal student community or a group of youths or a marginalized community. People driven passion. And sometimes the most stupid advice you could give someone is that they should follow their passion, as if passion pre-exists somewhere waiting to be fucking discovered. Are you serious? For most people, passion is built through exposure, investment, and getting good at something. Like I mean, if you really have a passion that you've had since you were 3 years old and you've stuck to it all the way and you're 18 now, like, dude, props to you. Let me clap for you, man. Go fucking kill cancer or whatever passion you have. But I think it's true for the most of us that our passion for something isn't very in your face, very obvious. We have to invest and expose ourselves to find it. This is just inevitable. This also should really be really obvious, but if you really don't want to be stuck doing something that you don't enjoy doing, right, that's just fucking miserable, right? So, knowing what you're passionate in and pursuing that is more often than not gonna filter away these possible future outcomes. Alright. And so I've said a lot. The last topic I'm gonna talk about is how to future-proof yourself. Because one of the constant questions I see from people trying to select their grades right now, like new college students or about to enter college, is how do I future-proof myself? Suddenly after COVID-19, after the AI boom, everyone is very scared, right? Oh, am I gonna get replaced? Am I gonna become obsolete? What's gonna happen? And they're all very worried. And so now the new grads, they take this as a very serious consideration as to like whether or not they're gonna be replaced. Um, I'm gonna explain why that shouldn't be that big of a concern to you. So every other day, I just hear about how AI will soon replace a quarter of all white collar jobs in the world. And as someone who does AI research and is familiar with the trajectory of where the field of AI is going, it seriously can be hard for me to deny that we are on the way or we're on pace to hit this, monumental marker of unemployment. But then again, I also get a lot of comments of people personally telling me, as a CS kid who's been coding for a very long time now, how technical coding knowledge will be made obsolete in 5 years. And you know what my response to that is? I tell them that technical coding knowledge is, I would say, 60 to 70% obsolete right now. And then they just don't believe me. They're like, what? Like, so fast? I thought AI wasn't going to take our jobs in like a few years. No. It's already here. I'll tell you more about that in 30 seconds. But let me just get one thing straight first. Okay, no one, not me, not your father, not your mother, not your grand uncle, maybe except God. No one except God knows the future, right? You spend all this time worrying about what will be replaced by AI, what will be replaced by this, what's the next thing that's gonna come up. You're really just gonna get nowhere. This is all just speculation. It's as good as throwing money in the stock market, right? If you truly know what shit is gonna be obsolete and what majors are gonna boom with income, like higher total com and income, I don't think you should be picking going to college. I think you should be going to work at a trading firm. Genuinely, tell me though. Tell me if you have that kind of information. Let me know. But yeah, you're not gonna get anywhere by speculating. Okay, so calm down. First of all, stop worrying. To an extent, different skill sets can be phased out with time, and it's only inevitable, right? And so all the more it's important to hone in on multiple different skill sets. Either that or continuously adapt your skill sets. Right? It's really a good trait to have, to be adaptable and to be able to iterate fast. So my personal example, right? 2 years ago, all my code that I've used in projects or I've just written for fun, they were 100% manually written. Maybe some copy and paste from online or like previous projects, but very minimal compared to the amount that I hand typed. But now, 2 years later, that number is somewhere near 5% of all the code that I push. That's right, I manually only write 5% of the code that I contribute to, be it my company or my personal projects. And why is it 5%? Well, in short, I adapted my skill set of coding by learning a new skill set of building with agentic AI models and combining the expertise from both to basically 5x, 10x my productivity. Okay, I wouldn't say 10x, but 5x is not a crazy thing to say, like genuinely. Um, a lot of people have a lot of ethical qualms against AI. I see them complain all the time. So, okay, I'm not here to fucking argue with you about that. Okay, the truth is, AI is really coming for software engineering jobs. It really is learning how to code at a very high level. And so if you don't adapt your skill sets to not be replaceable, but instead, aid 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 the agentic AI trend, then you turn it from something that's gonna take your job to something that you can put on your resume. Okay, but I'm sure some of you guys, you hear this, you'll be very sick. I mean, I'm also very sian. My dad is a businessman, right? And then all he just yaps about all day is agentic AI, large language models, vision language models. Like, bro, shut the fuck up. You are 60 years old. You're not technical anymore. Maybe you were technical like 50 years old when everyone was still using radios and CD players. Like these. I'm going on a tangent. I'm sorry, but yeah, don't be stressed out about the trends or the buzzwords, right? These are all just phases. Okay. um what you need to worry about, the only thing you need to worry about is how can you in this very moment iterate on your current skill sets or adapt and learn new skill sets, integrating it into your sort of toolkit or arsenal to be able to make yourself a more valuable person. All right? Or valuable at least in the sense of able to achieve the goals that you set out to do at a more efficient way or something. So people find this hard to believe, but some days I did as just do all my work, my coding research work on my phone. I just delegate tasks to an AI agent that lives on my compute cluster, and then I just text it through like a messaging app on my phone, and then throughout the day it'll just ping me to review its progress. Okay, then I'll just read the code on my phone, and then if everything looks good, okay, keep going. And I can go out and hang with my friends and still get work done. So is all my hours spent learning CS useless now? But I'll tell you, it isn't. It's not, because I adapted quickly to make sure that my skill set was useful under a new context, the modern context. And so to conclude, the way to future proof yourself is not to speculate what's going to happen 5 or 10 years in the future. Okay, we are not God. Don't even try. But rather, it's about developing a love for learning new things, being open to new skill sets, adopting a beginner mindset. If you don't know what a beginner mindset is, check my video from 2 videos ago, I think. Besides that, never getting too comfortable, and lastly, always have a sense of urgency. Okay? So you're probably thinking, wow, we sure have sidetracked a lot, right? All I asked you was how to pick your uni major. Why is this fucking geek telling me about skill sets and normal distribution and passion and how to future proof myself? Okay, I'm sorry. but is my genuine answer is not that easy. Okay. Um this picking a major, it, as long as much as people like to downplay it, it still is a decision that will, affect the trajectory of your career and your life and your goals and the people you meet. So quite a substantial amount. So it shouldn't be done lightly, but I hope that whatever I've talked to you about in this video um helps you a bit with the decision making process. Please don't hyperfixate on just one factor like passion or the amount of money you're gonna get, or what one specific skill set that you're gonna learn. Be holistic, see things from different angles, and make a judgment that makes sense to you. The judgment does not have to make sense to your mother, your father, your grandfather, your teacher, your coach, your mentor. As long as it makes sense to you, I believe that you should do it. Because at the end of the day, it's your life, and you are the one who's gonna be living with the consequences. Alright, guys. End of video. Thank you for watching. If you guys have any questions about JC, or you're looking to apply to US universities, including but not limited to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Princeton, CMU, MIT, Columbia, yeah, hit me up. Emails in description. I'm more than happy to more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you. Good fucking night.